Hello my friends and welcome back and happy Tuesday to you. We're gonna continue the surviving game. And the first news I'm gonna bring to you today again is about the flooding of Russia because the waters now are supposedly radioactive, at least in one river. It is pretty crazy. In Russia they don't really maintain the nuclear waste properly, the storage facilities of the nuclear waste, and they can flood, and this is exactly what has happened, like you see on the video. Also, an old uranium well flooded in the Russian Kurgan region. Radioactive mud may have entered the Tobol river. Wow! What the hell? I mean, the Tobol River, this is where the surrounding settlements get their drinking water from. According to the local environmentalists, floodwaters flooded the Dobrovolny deposit where uranium was mined for Rosatom enterprises. According to environmentalists, radioactive dirt that had accumulated over the years from the spreading groundwater was washed into the Tobol River. Downstream is the city of Kurgan. The city's water supply comes from the Tobol River. So now, in addition to the river being over the embankments flooding all of the Kurgan city, also the drinking water of the city is now radioactive. So this keeps getting worse. It's not only the flood, it's everything that the floods brings with it. Insane amounts of mud and destruction, and now radioactive waters from the radioactive mud that was accumulating over the decades on the nuclear waste storage facilities that were not maintained properly. This is the Russian world, my friends. And since Russia wants to export the product of Russian world, they bombard Ukraine, and more specifically Kharkiv. Yesterday, Russia attacked Kharkiv TV tower with their X-59 or KH-59 missile, whatever you call it. It's a very fast flying missile, and usually they don't show that kind of accuracy. These missiles have an accuracy they can miss the target by tens of meters, but in this case they hit pinpoint accuracy, or it was an accident, but the tower got hit and it broke in half, and this is what you can see on this video. Now, if this was the goal of the Russian missile crews, then unfortunately they have demonstrated insane accuracy, because hitting these kind of towers is very difficult. TV towers represent the connection to the Western world. This was the same in Tallinn and Vilnius in 1991, 1990, where Estonians and Lithuanians stood hand in hand in the protection of their TV towers when Russian tanks wanted to roll in. This was at the very end period of the Soviet Union, right before its collapse. In Vilnius, the tanks rode over the people, crushing 14 people. In Tallinn, this did not happen. But in both cases, people united to protect the TV tower and to protect their vital link to the Western world, information link. Now in Kharkiv, this link has been shattered. The TV tower is broken. The TV channels are not broadcasting anymore, although internet connection and radio is still working. But this is Russia's attempt to plunge Kharkiv in darkness, not only with the destruction of the thermal power plants, but also with the destruction of the TV tower, the link to the outside information of Kharkiv. Fortunately, we live in the 21st century, and to take away all links of communication, you would also have to destroy every last 3G and 4G tower. Plus, with Starlink, people can still have a connection. My friends, the Danish ambassador to Ukraine, Ole Egberg Mikkelsen, announced yesterday in an interview that Denmark will decommission their entire fleet of F-16s. Now, this might come as a surprise or as a shocking news, but actually no, it's gospel. It's a very positive news, because they will be buying a whole brand new fleet of F-35s from the United States. And what will they do with the old fleet of F-16s? Well, Ukraine will get 19 of them. 19! An insanely high number of F-16s. Plus, some will be sold to Argentina, a sudden ally to NATO, a recent ally actually, when the newly elected Argentinian president has approached NATO and he wishes Argentina to be a partner state to NATO. They cannot, of course, join NATO since they are in South America, but they can be a partner. But coming back to Denmark and their soon-to-be decommissioned F-16 fleet, this is a very positive news for Ukraine. This puts Denmark also in one of the largest military aid given to Ukraine. I saw the list. There was the European Union, United States, United Kingdom, France, Germany, and Denmark, the smallest country in those listed right now, has given a huge amount of military aid. So thank you to the Danish people. My friends, now I want to go to the Ukrainian aid passed in Congress, and today is Tuesday. Today the Senate is supposed to also vote on this, and many people have been commenting on my previous video when I stated it would take about 4 weeks. Many people say, oh, Jake Bro said it takes 2 days. Yes, my friends, look at this video. These are already Bradleys in Poland on top of trucks to be delivered over the border as soon as the Senate passes the aid today. But these are Bradleys. What I meant on the 4 weeks, yes, these Bradleys will reach Kyiv in 10 hours, 15 hours after the aid has been passed and the order has been given. But for the aid in macro scale, in majority, to actually start reaching the front lines and making the difference on the battlefield, that will take time. You might have these Bradleys in Kiev, but they will still have to be driven to the front lines. Soldiers will have to take them into their units, train them, assign them to certain crews. This will all take time. It will not happen in days. Yes, first physical appearances of Western aid might be seen in Kiev in the first days, but the actual difference this aid makes on the battlefield, the visible difference, will take definitely 4 weeks, if not more. This is not a fast process. Also, what does this aid do immediately to Ukraine? Of course, when it reaches the battlefield and makes a difference in a month, let's say, that will take 4 weeks. But what Ukraine can immediately do is start using up their reserves. The thing is, Ukrainians did not know up until a week ago that they would get any aid from the United States at all, and so they held strategic reserves, minimal amounts of reserves of artillery shells and HIMARS munitions, because they didn't know if they were gonna get any HIMARS munitions at all, so they held them for the most valuable targets. Well, now they know they're gonna get a lot more. So what they can do at this 4 weeks time, when the new munitions have not yet reached them, they can use the old ones up because they know new ones are coming. And this is why we get the video of Ukraine shooting out 16 HIMARS rockets to Mariupol, to the gathering point of Russian troops. This is a target they could not strike before because they were rationing their HIMARS munition, and this was not the highest value target. But now they can use their HIMARS again to knock out cold Russian gathering points. Also, this means that Ukraine can now more bravely use up their artillery munition reserves because they know more is coming from the United States. So yes, in this sense, the aid that the United States is going to send to Ukraine in a month already makes a difference in Ukraine today, in this second. My friends, but now let's look at some trends on this war in the last 2.5 years. What has changed on the macro scale, the biggest, most zoomed out scale there is. And we notice some very simple yet recognizable trends. Compared to 2022 and 2023, there has been a significant decrease in the intensity of Russian artillery use. We all know that Russians have about 10 times more artillery shells than Ukraine, and their artillery superiority is in some sectors 10 times more superior than Ukraine. But compared to 2022, this beginning half a year of war, it is still many times less. So the trend for Russian artillery usage also goes downward very significantly. The same case goes for the Ukrainians. At the same time, media often assert with certainty that Russia produces far more ammunition than Western countries combined. It has gone unnoticed that over the past year, Ukraine has destroyed a large number of Russian artillery systems, which could explain the current situation. The use of Russian multiple rocket launchers has also decreased, the cause of which is not immediately apparent. Yes, not many people talk about this, but Russia is huge in artillery weapons, artillery and multiple rocket launchers, and they are using many times less multiple rocket launcher attacks than at the beginning 6 months of war. We don't exactly know why, but we can detect that perhaps Ukraine has destroyed enough of their Uragans or MLRS systems or missiles. At the beginning year of war, I don't know if you remember, but Ukraine destroyed almost daily Russian ammunition storage points because Russia at that time did not have trucks on the front, the capability to distribute ammunition to the front with trucks, so they gathered them with trains to huge piles, massive piles, in building size piles. And Ukraine destroyed these piles daily. I remember covering this. So those piles, that was tens, perhaps hundreds of thousands of multiple rocket launcher system rockets destroyed in those piles. So this might be the effect we see today, a year later, that Russia is using far less of them. This means these effects that Ukraine is doing now for the oil infrastructure of Russia, for example, we see those effects after a year, after 2 years. These things, they take time. The effect compounds over time. So we gotta give it time. The chief of the Ukrainian military intelligence has stated that the situation on the front will worsen in the coming weeks, but Ukrainian defense will not collapse. Now, this comes from Budanov, yes, the chief of the Ukrainian intelligence. And this is what I'm talking about. Yes, the first visual proof of the United States aid will reach Kyiv within days. Like Jake Bro said, it will be very fast. But for this aid on the macro scale to actually have an impact on the front, like I said, it will take a month, maybe more. And Budanov also knows this. The next 4 months, Ukrainian situation on the front lines will deteriorate. It will get worse. More glide bombs from Russia, more casualties for Ukraine. Ukraine will use up their last reserves of artillery shells and HIMARS munitions before being replenished by the United States aid. That's the situation. So the next 4 weeks are the most critical for Ukraine. The president of Poland announced yesterday that Poland is ready to station United States nuclear weapons on its territory, a move intended as a counterbalance to the nuclear weapons Russia placed in Belarus. Poland welcomes United States nuclear weapons. Of course, this debate is not on the table at all. There is no current plan for the United States to hold or place their nuclear weapons in Poland at all. But such discussions and such sentences already by the Polish officials deter Russia. It's a communication war. There is so much talk in the recent days about Ukraine needing more Patriot systems. Everybody talks about Patriot, everybody knows about Patriot, they know it's the best system, one of the most expensive systems. Every Western country wants one and Ukraine wants many of them. But what it really is, why is it so expensive? One fully fledged Patriot battery costs about 1 billion USD, 1,000 million USD. Now, they say that the Russian S-300 cost about 300 million, so about 3 times cheaper. S-400 battery costs close to 1 billion also, export price at least. So why are these air defense systems so expensive? One of the most expensive weapon systems in the entire world, in the modern world. Well, I read some Reddit posts, so you wouldn't have to. And here is a random Reddit user, Plowfaster. I don't know who the guy is, but this is a perfect answer, and we will know why is Patriot so goddamn expensive. Because radar is really hard. Let's start with that as a basic premise. As a concrete example, in Building 20 of the MIT campus, 20% of all Nobel Prize physicists worked or were working in the MIT Rad Lab. In time, more Nobel were awarded on the basis of World War II radar than would be awarded basis on the atom bomb. Radar is really interesting, complex stuff. You can make a good faith argument that it's the peak of human output ever of all time. And I do agree. I don't understand anything about radar, but seeing how weapon systems get more expensive, multiplied, many times more expensive, based on only if the radar is changed out for the next generation, I can say that this must be the peak of all human advancement in technology. It's so damn expensive. One Patriot missile costs 1 to 6 million USD, depending on the missile capabilities and the export price or internal usage or who will buy them in bulk or one by one, 1 to 6 million. But the Patriot battery, which consists of the launcher, the radar, the ammunition trucks that will fill up the ammunition as soon as it's fired, the electrical generator trucks. There will be 1 or 2 trucks with a very powerful electrical generator because the radar takes so much electricity. All of that combined costs about 1 billion USD. And the most expensive part is the nervous system, which is the radar. And this is why Patriot is so expensive. The second part of it is that missiles, not drones, but missiles are just so damn hard to shoot down. Now a plane which has a huge radar cross-section, your radar will see it in the sky, that sees the cross-section, calculates the position it will be in, calculates the missile trajectory, and bada boom. If the missile misses a little bit, the shrapnel will still cross the plane and the plane will go down. Now a flying missile, which is possibly many times faster than a plane, is also many times smaller than a plane. So it's much smaller and much harder to see on the radar. It's much harder to calculate its future position because it's smaller and faster. And even if you miss a little bit, you won't hit it. Plus, with a missile, a Patriot is the last line of defense before a city. So it is not a 90% interception, 70% interception. It has to be 100% interception. And we all know the rule of building anything. You get 80% of the result with 20% of the money spent. And you get the last 20% of the result with 80% of the money spent. So 80% interception to 100% interception, that is the most expensive bracket to fill. And Patriot is one of the best in the world in interception, meaning the United States has poured so much money and resources to get the last a little bit better than everybody else effort, a little bit better than all systems in the world, all other systems. And that is close to 100% interception they have. So this is why Patriot is so expensive. This is why every Western country wants them. This is why they're not selling them to Turkey. This is why Turkey had to buy S-400s from Russia, because the United States doesn't want Turkey to reverse engineer their Patriot systems. This is why it's so hard for Western countries to donate even one Patriot system for Ukraine. Because they're so expensive, so effective, and they're a genius, a black magic of the Western military tech. And this brings us to the next topic, which is Sweden is contemplating the possibility of donating a Patriot system to Ukraine. Exactly, nobody wants to do it, but Sweden is like, we can do it, fine, we're rich, and they truly are rich. Sweden's defense minister Pål Jonson mentioned that Sweden is thinking about giving a Patriot system to Ukraine. This comes a few days after Germany launched its immediate action on air defense initiative. Yes, Germany is now leading, scraping together these air defense systems, Patriot systems for Ukraine. I mean, it's weird to use the word scraping together when we're talking about $1 billion systems, but it's very hard to find countries that are willingly sending these systems to Ukraine. I mean, Sweden currently operates 4 Patriot batteries, which are strategically significant for the country. But since Sweden is now under the protection of NATO's anti-air defense umbrella, they could send one to Ukraine. And if Russia is a threat for their cities, Sweden would get another one as fast as possible. Hopefully they will send one, as Ukraine is even greater need for it. Sweden, now under the protection of NATO, should also send or sell Saab Gripen jets to Ukraine, given that Ukraine will never have an adequate number of F-16 jets. Doing so is not only the right thing to do, but it also aligns with Sweden's interests. Sweden possesses a formidable defense industry relative to its size, and providing weapons can enhance that industry while also undermining Russia. Talking about weapons industries in country, how I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but to sell weapons to any country in the world, these weapons must have a good history of performing in battles. Best way to prove that, the only way to prove that actually is in real wars. In Ukraine, for example. And weapon systems are expensive as hell, and countries which produce them make so much money. So much. So the greatest interest of any weapons exporting country is to send their weapons to Ukraine, because if any country sees that their weapons, these weapons in Ukraine are performing good, everybody would want to buy them. Because in weapons buying, you want to be sure, because you're investing so much, billions. So you better be sure, you better see the videos of these weapons performing great in real-time battle situations. So in this case, United States, South Korea, and Sweden and Germany, biggest weapons exporters in the world, they have every interest to send their weapons to Ukraine, because if their weapons perform good, they will get contracts of tens of billions in the next decade. Now, my friends, as in every video and for the second time in this week, we end this Tuesday surviving the game with Buy Me a Coffee members butchering list. I'll butcher these names to oblivion, and if you want your name to be butchered, just sign up as a monthly member to my Buy Me a Coffee. Link is in the description below. We have Someona. Again, in everyone we have Someona. Ron Margzik. Damn. Shavn Romanko. Well, that's a Ukrainian name. I mean, not Sean, but Romanko is. Vincent Hill, Phil Graham, Jochen Kaksisve Bridenstine, Kati Samuels, Peter McLerney. Get your names in order. Martin Makhalik, Rian Slezak. Damn, your names are difficult. I have to replace my tongue. I have a podcast coming up after that, so I don't know how I'm gonna speak. Thank you for it. Now, my friends, I will leave you with a whole new platform. We at the Rehi team, we have built out rehistore.com and artursarmy.com. Go and check them both out. And now I present you the video, introduction of video to it. And while you watch it, I can say to you, until my next video, Slava Ukraini, my friends. Bye-bye. My friends, we at the Rehi team have taken the next huge step in Ukraine aid operations. The operation is public at rehiartur.com. I'll walk you through it. On rehiartur.com, you have two options. By clicking on Rehi Store, you can discover a whole new clothing brand called Rehi, and you can see the page on the screen and in the description below. There are two collections, Rehi and Ukraine Classics. I wanted to give you a way to show your mindset through the designs you wear, and thus Rehi was born. You can show your support for the freedom of the Ukrainian nation by wearing the most iconic designs connected to the Ukrainian fight for independence. For example, with love from Ukraine, or in HIMARS with trust. If you wish to go more conservative, then Rehi collection is for you. The Rehi brand stands for what I stand for, the freedom of one's nation to determine their own fate. By the way, you can even surprise your companion with a gift card for a present. Okay, that was scary, starting my first clothing brand. But that's not all. On rehiartur.com, we can click on Artur's Army to go to artursarmy.com. Whole new Ukraine aid platform. You can see that Artur's Army has delivered close to $500,000 worth of equipment to Ukraine. And if you scroll down, you can see 3 operations to contribute to: drones, vehicles, and humanitarian aid for those who wish to help Ukrainian orphans. All delivered drones and vehicles show up if you scroll down even more. As you can see, Ukrainian victory loading is in progress. You can click on read more to any of the 3 missions to find out more information about the specifics and past successes. My friends, I'll go through the checkout with you. For example, let's pick drones and let's click donate it guides us to this really cool checkout page. Contribution for the purpose. You can choose multiple categories. The summary will be shown down below. For example, one cheap kamikaze drone costs 1,000 USD. So if you click 1,000, it's one tank destroyed. If you click 500, it's 0.5 tanks destroyed. And if you play around with this one right here, you get the exact number of tanks destroyed. We're talking about Russian tanks demilitarized, of course. This is the most cost-efficient and fastest way to knock the occupiers out cold. Now, if you're finished with drones and you want to add something more to your cart, click vehicles, and one vehicle costs 15,000 USD, so you can choose your own amount or play around with this one here to choose a smaller amount, and you can see it translates immediately. You can fill out your entire cart like that. Or humanitarian aid, we will be delivering laptops to Ukrainian orphans so they can continue learning and their education path. If you have chosen everything, you can do the checkout by PayPal or credit card, which is Stripe. And boom, that's how easy it is. I will be creating footage, images and videos. I'll be putting all of the convoys on my YouTube channel, on my Buy Me a Coffee page, on everywhere. You can see that your money is put in perfect use in the most efficient and fastest way possible. Your skills and expertise can be used for Ukrainian victory, so join Artur's army. For that, there is a form to fill out, and that's it. We will be in touch when we have a mission for you. My friends, together we will bring Ukraine to victory. Slava Ukraini!